All right, welcome to the Talking Tomahawk podcast. It's been a while. I've been sick. You don't care. You don't care at all. I have a presentation for you right here. Please don't read the date on it. It's not even right. Everything has been delayed. Listen, y'all know that the Braves have traded for Chris Sale at this point, and if you're here to find out more information about that trade, about the extension that happened afterward, and how this might affect the Braves. At this point, I know you've probably already read about it and seen everything. You've analyzed this top to bottom, and right now you're just here because you love when people sit here and talk the Atlanta Braves to you. So that's what I'm going to do to you today. I know you already know all about this trade. I I even had one of the articles you probably read, and it feels like it was already several months ago at this point about why the Braves extended Chris Sale. But hey, thanks for coming to me for more Braves talk. You can never talk enough Braves. If if we got tired of talking about sports, there would be no sports bar. Like there would just be no point. So let's talk some Braves. All right, the trade. Just a quick recap in case you missed it, in case you weren't aware. The Braves traded Vaughn Grissom to the Red Sox, and in exchange, the Red Sox sent Chris Sale and $17 million to the Atlanta Braves. Sale was due $17 million in 2024, and he had a $20 million club option. Actually, I think it was $17.5 million, and Braves were on the hook for about a half a million. I obviously had not finished my coffee when I put this little PowerPoint together. But anyway, Chris Sale waived his no trade clause with the Red Sox and agreed on an extension, which is kind of par for the course for Alex Anthopoulos. I think the big question, though, is why did the Braves sign him to that extension? So it was a 2-year deal. We had 1 year locked in. It was pretty much all paid for by the Red Sox, and then there was the option for the following season. So just he agrees to the 2-year deal. Under the new 2-year deal, he's going to earn $16 million this coming season, which is tied for the fifth highest on the Braves in 2024 as far as payroll goes. He's going to earn $22 million in 2025, and he has an $18 million club option in 2026. Boston is paying the Braves $17 million in 2024. Quick math, Chris Sale will cost us negative $1 million this season. So both sides are happy. Sale has a family. I think he said he has a couple of kids. He's got a wife. He wants some longer term security. $10 million of this season's salary was actually deferred over 15 years. So that's gone. Chris Sale can get his money now. The Braves don't have to worry about that money hitting their payroll in the future. So that's gone with this extension. And there's very little risk to the Braves. So here's where everybody was asking the question: why did the Braves sign him to this extension if all we had was 1 year of real risk that the Red Sox were basically paying for? Why would we extend him? I might be getting to this later, but let me just go ahead and say that it could have been part of the terms of waiving his no trade clause. They can stipulate things like that before they waive their no trade clause. So that's I did Google it, and apparently that's a thing. So but you can say I'm not going to waive my no trade clause unless I know there's an extension for me, and the agent can negotiate that. So on the Braves side of things, there's very little risk here. If the Red Sox are paying $17 million to the Braves this season, they're covering all of his salary and $1 million of next year's salary. Technically speaking, I don't think they're going to save that million, but anyway, the point is, it's a $38 million contract. Subtract the $17 million. The Red Sox sent us $21 million. The Braves are paying to get 2 years of Chris Sale. That's $10.5 million per year. And no matter how you want to play with the math, it's a really good deal for a pitcher of Chris Sale's caliber. $10.5 million annual value. So just to put that in perspective, here's a list of free agents and a couple of guys that are actually on the Braves. Just names. A lot of this season's free agents and how much they're getting on a yearly basis. And if you look at what the Braves are paying Chris Sale over the next 2 seasons, I know we're including what the Red Sox sent, but this deal is really, really a value. I mean, $10.5 million for a guy who's a 7-time All-Star. He's finished the Cy Young voting multiple times. He was one of the most dominant pitchers. We'll get into how dominant he was here in a little bit, but take a look at some of these names. Yamamoto's never pitched. I hope he's good. Whatever. Never pitched an inning in the major leagues. $27 million a year. Aaron Nola, $24.6 million a year. Uh, Eduardo Rodriguez, 20 million. I mean, I'm not going to read this whole list to you, um, but I'm going to definitely point out some names. Luis Severino, $13 million. Sonny Gray, 25 million a year. Not that these guys aren't worth it, but man, Charlie Morton is at 20 million. Our closer's at 16 million. So Chris Sale is at 10.5 million. That's a great deal. I don't know if you. I don't even think that registered on the microphone, but um, my dryer went off. That's what that was about. So Jack Flaherty. I mean, Jack Flaherty is getting 14. So to go out and sign a pitcher the caliber of Jack Flaherty or Kyle Gibson or Sean Manaea, these guys have had. There's some serious question marks. Luis Severino. Um, to go get one of those guys, 13 million, 14 million. Lance Lynn, 11 million. It's less money for the Braves under the deal that they got by sending Vaughn Grissom, who we don't have a spot for, and he can't play infield. That's just not going to happen. We've covered that before. To send Vaughn Grissom and to get a guy like Chris Sale with an opportunity to be healthy this year and next year, and possibly the following year with that third year option, it's a really, really, really good deal. And if that surprises you at this point, it doesn't surprise you at this point. If this is your first time ever hearing about the Atlanta Braves, if that surprises you at this point. So let's take a quick look at his injury history. This is the big concern. Everybody's worried about the injury history, but like a lot of the names I just mentioned have the same injury histories. They have even poorer track record as far as performance goes. At least we know when Chris Sale's on the mound, he doesn't walk a lot of guys, and he strikes out a ton of dudes. All right. But here's a quick look at what the Braves are getting and how it's a good thing that they limited the risk associated with him. And Alex Anthopoulos continues to find these deals where he doesn't have to pay market value for this quality of player or any player really. 2019, he was limited to 25 games. His season ended with an elbow injury. They hoped to avoid Tommy John at the time. And ultimately, in the spring of 2020, it didn't take long. I think they were warming. It didn't take long for them to figure out they were going to need Tommy John. So they delayed it, and then in the spring of 2020, he missed. They realized he was going to need it, and then he missed the whole year because of the Tommy John surgery. So starting in 2019, 25 games in 2019. It was all. This is where it all started for Chris Sale. So 25 games in 2019. In 2020, he got the surgery, missed the whole year. He came back in 2021. And he played 9 games, and he also suffered a rib stress fracture. So in 2022, in his second start back, fractured his left pinky on a comebacker, and then later he broke his wrist in a bicycle accident. He played 2 games that season. A lot of freak stuff other than the Tommy John, like the rib, the pinky, the bicycle. Stay off bicycles, people. All right, stay off the bicycle. It's dangerous. It's more dangerous. Just go on a jog near an alligator infested pond rather than ride your bicycle on the road. It's too dangerous. You get a better workout in a shorter amount of time by running anyway. And you don't have to buy all the goofy spandex equipment and then you know what? You probably aren't going to trip and fall while you're on your run. Probably aren't. I've been running for a long time. I think I can only remember like once or twice that I actually fell. But guess what? I was okay. I was all right. I just got back up and kept running. I have a buddy who rides his bike all the time. Honestly, the guy's lucky I'm even still his friend at this point. Used to ride the bike that much. He wrecked his bike. well, more than once, but I remember the last one. It was pretty serious. There was blood. There was an injured senior citizen, a car wreck trying to avoid them. His bike had damage to it, and it was like an $1,800 bike. Okay, so stay off the bicycles. So in 2023, last season, he did have shoulder inflammation. He managed to start in 20 games, and that's the most he's pitched since 2019 when he pitched in 25 games, but was also dealing with the bum elbow that led to Tommy John. So he was acquired by the Red Sox in December of 2016, and in that time he's had 9 trips to the IL. And in the last 5 years, he's averaged 11 starts per season. He's posted a 4.16 ERA, but he did have a 3.56 FIP, a 12.1 K per nine, and just 2.4 walks per nine. So a lot of really good underlying numbers. A 4.16 ERA is not bad. And I think you'll take that with the but add in the fact that he's dealt with a lot of injuries over the last few years, a lot of start and stop, and then the Tommy John obviously is a huge thing to come back from, and then even in the 2019 season leading up to that, usually there's something you can see the numbers start to decline as it leads up to that, and you're hoping it's not something as serious as a torn UCL or something, or that's going to require Tommy John, and then inevitably it does. So even despite all that, I think some pretty good numbers since 2019. The problem is 2019 was a long time ago, and the Red Sox have spent a lot of money on very little production since then. So this is what the Braves are acquiring. So we're going to get into now. We're going to get off of all the negativity that's based on his injury history. We're going to get into reasons for optimism. And as you can see, to demonstrate the point and to really drive home how optimistic that we should be, we have this stock image of an extremely happy, positive woman. Um, Although we don't know why she's actually smiling like that. We assume that it's optimism for good reasons, but she could be like, my husband is cheating on me, and tomorrow he's going to get his comeuppance, and I might be on the news. But in my deranged mental state at this moment, it's making me very happy. And in that case, this is not a good situation or something that we should be optimistic about. But that's just a stock image. How about Chris Sale? Chris Sale was one of the premier pitchers in the game, made 7 consecutive All-Star teams. My dog loves Chris Sale. My dog is really excited about this trade. Between 2010 and 2018, he had a 2.89 ERA. Topa, come here. Topa. You come here. I'm going to tell everybody what Topa stands for. My dog's name is Topa. Yep, there it is. Yeah, and look it up. Look up what Topa means, and then you will. I don't know. Probably think it's pretty cool. Leave a comment. somebody leave a comment. What does Topa? What does Topa mean? What did I name this dog? Somebody tell me in the comments. Anyway, this dog loves Chris Sale, right, Topa? And get out of here. Whatever. All right. So between 2010 and 2018, I had 2.89 ERA, 2.0, a clean 2 walks per 9, and a 10.9 strikeout per 9 rate. That was 1,482 and a third innings. Notice I put the 0.33 and not the 0.1. Mathematically speaking, the 0.1 makes no sense. And I'm trying to wean us all off of that. It was a third. So, almost 1,500 innings. Those are incredible numbers. He has the highest K per nine of any qualified pitcher in the history of baseball. His bad luck began in 2019, as we just recapped. The season ended early due to his elbow injury. And they're reporting the most normal offseason that he has had in years. In years, a long time. So in 2023, last year's numbers, we've already kind of covered that, but they were good numbers. I mean, the ERA wasn't what you would want, but the rest of it is pretty good and would probably indicate that there are better things to come. And you have to, keep in mind, he pitched over 100 innings last year, and after all the starts and the stops and the limited amount of action he's had over the last few years, last year was a great step in the right direction. So um, it was fairly healthy. It was healthier. We'll say that. Healthier. And if you trust the Braves medical staff, they saw enough. They've seen enough to think that it's time to invest in Chris Sale or take the risk on Chris Sale. And I trust that organization. So it was a good sign last year with Chris Sale. So overall, in conclusion, the Braves have acquired a man who could potentially win the Cy Young this year for the price of a guy that was set to be a part-time, at best, left fielder who potentially could have a good bat in the future, but probably not a place on our roster. We got the Red Sox to pay for all of his salary in 2024, and he's definitely below market value. You got guys that are far inferior talent wise, going for more money than what the Braves are going to be paying him over the next 2 seasons. And our rotation is probably the best in baseball again. So that's the Chris Sale trade in a nutshell. I think it's a fantastic trade. You think it's a fantastic trade. If you don't think it's a fantastic trade, leave no, don't leave a comment. Don't just go away. I don't even want to. Normally, I'm okay with hearing both sides of the argument and stuff, but like, I don't want to hear it. I want you to be like that lady right there. I want you to be positive. I want you to be optimistic, crazy optimistic. If you have something bad to say, yeah, go ahead and leave it in the comments. I kind of want to see it now. All right, that's all I got for you. I'm gonna go poop now.